those who are connected on Zoom, just be a little patient. We are going to begin, inshallah. The speaker is here. I am here, just only waiting for Prof. Abdul Aziz. He is somehow with the guest. So once he comes, then we begin, inshallah. Prof. Saimi, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, very good. How about you, Prof?
Okay, fine. Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Azmi was here in ISTAC. He prayed for Friday Juma prayer just now. So we were just chit-chatting with him.
Alhamdulillah.
Iman, Adila, any news from Robaya? Dr. Ain?
No news. I don't know.
Sheikh, ya Ustaz. Assalamu alaikum. Fine, how are you?
But the Isham. Okay, now VVIP has come, we begin first. Prof, we start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let us begin our session with Surah Al-Fatiha. Okay, Alhamdulillah. We are meeting today for the next lecture for integration and Islamization of knowledge. And we have none other than our beloved colleague and former staff of ISTAC. And before, as usual, we begin our session, and I always have the pleasure of inviting our Dean, Yang Berbahagia Dato' Prof. Abdul Aziz Bargud, to give some welcoming remarks before we open the session and then the speaker takes over. Thank you, Prof.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Dear Professor Imtiyaz Yusuf, our guest of honor today, Prof. Khaliq and all the professors, the student, the participant who are here with us at this Ibn Khaldun conference room, and also who are joining in the Zoom and YouTube channel. Also, we welcome all the professors, Prof. Suhaimi, and all the brothers and sisters over there. This is really a great honor for us here to receive back our great professor, our great scholar. Prof. Imtiyaz Yusuf was one of the great participants and contributors not only to ISTAC but to IIUM. He has been with us in many periods, and I think the last was with us here at ISTAC for almost 4 years or more. And in fact, we can say that we lost a great scholar when he left us. And until today, we could not replace this place with a scholar at the caliber of Prof. Imtiyaz Yusuf, with his quality, with his vision and depth of his thought and ideas, and very vast exposure and knowledge in the areas of comparative religion, other religions, and Islam in general. I think it's wonderful to have our professor with us here today, and we wish, inshallah, to invite him more and more times. Maybe he can be our visiting professor if he wants to, because he doesn't want to stay with us here. So as a visiting professor, maybe will be much more easier and manageable, inshallah. And I think today he will be talking in a very great, important topic on this series of integration, the futures of integration of knowledge and civilizational development So once again, welcome, Prof. And I thank Professor Khalid for organizing this. And I thank you all for coming and participating. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khair. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Prof, can you sit up? Alhamdulillah. So, brothers and sisters, you are welcome again. And I think without delay, we would like the program to begin. Because this program, Islamization and Integration of Knowledge, is not new to UIA, and nobody deny the fact, the contribution of our brother, Dr. Imtiyaz Yusuf. We have already a couple of lectures before. We have heard that the students and the philosophy of the Sayyid Naqib al-Atas on Islamization, I think 4 or 5 months before. We have Professor Dr. Ugi from Indonesia. And after that, we do have another lecture, which was to look after the issues that raised during the talk by Professor Mumtaz on the Islamization philosophy of Professor Muhammad Kamal Hassan, Arwah, late Tansri. And then now I think today is the most important topic, and I would say the series on Islamization of knowledge from the Al-Faruqi marhum. So these were the pioneers and Toko, and we have their first-hand recipients, and I would say their students. As we all know that our beloved speaker today, he has been direct beneficent, and I would say recipients and face-to-face with the ISMAIL Al-Faruqi, rahmahullah alayh. So today he's going to talk about Islamization and integration of the knowledge. And I think I feel like irrelevant to introduce him because he has been part of us and he knows all of you, and many of you on the screen have been his students, but nevertheless, maybe one or two sitting next to me, Brother Ehsan and some of you here. So Dr. Imtiyaz Yusuf is currently a non-resident research fellow at the Center for Contemporary Islamic World, CICW. How to pronounce it? Shenandoah University. Shenandoah University, Leesburg, USA. Formerly, he was an associate professor and the coordination of this program, Islamization of Knowledge, at IIUM ISTAC, and also he has a very deep understanding about Islam and Buddhism program. Dr. Imtiyaz specializes actually in the study of religion with a focus on Muslim Buddhism, Buddhist relations and dialogue, Islam in Thailand and South Asia, as previously mentioned by our dean. He was part of us, but somehow he chose to go to Vietnam, and I don't know whether I say is a good or bad, I don't know, but let his wife to decide. She's sitting next to Dr. Ain. Why she managed to bring him to Vietnam, I think is more private secret. I don't want to delve into it. Welcome, Dato Ahmad Murad American, Brother Isham, Dr. Ain, and our sub-students here. With that, I would like to hand over the floor to our speaker, Dr. Imtiyaz Yusuf. Let us welcome him with that. And so maybe, Prof, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, up to you. A 1 hour maximum, you can go and take your floor, and then we open for Q&A. So brothers and sisters, also on the Zoom, be patient, keep your questions. You can always send the question on the chat. We will read for you, or I will open for you. You can speak yourself. Thank you. Jazakumullah khair. Ahlan wa sahlan, Professor Imtiyaz.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Abdulaziz Bargut, for your kind words, and you have honored me more than I deserve. And thank you for Professor Khalid for organizing this meeting. It was long due for me to come here, and finally it happened that I'm here. And probably this is the first time someone is talking about Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi in ISTAC, in the history of ISTAC, because you know the history of ISTAC and Islamization of knowledge. So it's an honor to talk about Faruqi, and also it's an honor for me to have a student of Fazlur Rahman right here in front of me, because Fazlur Rahman and Faruqi were friends. And they had their partnership and their cooperation, which I'll discuss when I make my presentation. So that is also that he will bring in some insights at the same time. So let me share my PowerPoint here. We live in the world of PowerPoints. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, okay, come in.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. My topic here today is the relevance of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi to contemporary research. Professor, talking about Ismail Al-Faruqi in International Islamic University is natural, because International Islamic University of Malaysia was the vision of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi, part of the Islamization of knowledge program, which started from the Makkah conference in 1977, and then the whole stream continued of the establishment of many international Islamic universities in Uganda, in Malaysia, in Pakistan, and elsewhere. So in a kind of like, I'm bringing Professor Ismail Faruqi home here, and I was his last student assistant. And I'll share many anecdotes during my presentation. So again, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalam ala khatam al-Nabil wal-Mursaleen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa la tahsabanna allazina qutilu fi sabilillahi amwatum, bal ahyaya inda rabbihim yurzakun. And do not think of those who are killed in Allah's way as dead. No, they are alive and are provided sustenance from their Lord. As you all know, Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi and his wife, Lois Lamia Al-Faruqi, were murdered during Ramadan 38 years ago. And it is interesting that today, 38 years after, is that still I get so many invitations to talk about Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi. And I being his last student assistant, I always feel that and since he is alive, according to the ayat of the Quran, I feel him nudging me sometime, telling me, do this, do that, because I am the only one. I'm not bragging. I'm the only one who writes about Ismail Al-Faruqi of all his students. I'm the only one who does work on him. And it's kind of a personal relationship I have with him. And in my house, if you go, I have only one photograph, and that is of Ismail Al-Faruqi. So this is very interesting. We have the photo, black and white. That he lived in the age when photos were no headphones and all. So you have a photo of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi and his wife. Black and white. Most of these photos are black and white, and they are giving a lecture somewhere. And this is taken from Islamic Horizon. On my right-hand side, there is the grave of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi. They were murdered together. We call them Baba and Mama, and they loved each other so closely that they are buried together in this grave. I have goosebumps coming up with me. They are buried together in the same grave. This photo was sent by my very dear friend, Dr. Said Ghulam Nabi Fai, who was also a student of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi. And he visited the grave recently in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, and he sent a photograph. And the other side, the other photo is he and his wife also reading Fatiha at the grave of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi. So I've become emotional, so please excuse me on that one. Because as I said, I have a very close relationship with him. Now, he was a scholar. Am I going ahead? Okay. So let me introduce some of his publications. Important publications. Historical Atlas of Religions of the World. He is a scholar who talks about the relation between religion and geography, which normally we ignore. Religions are to be understood in their geographical context. This is very, very important. And I'll come further on that. The other important book is by him is Tawheed, Its Implications for Life and Thought in 1982. Then again at Tawheed, this is the 1987 publication, I believe, 1992 publication. It has been reprinted again and again. Then the Cultural Atlas of Islam, which was published after his death. Again, it was authored by him and his wife, which is again very popularly available. And then this book, Islam and Knowledge, Al-Faruqi's Concept of Religion and Islamic Thought. This was published in 2012, 26 years after his death. As a student of him, and at that time I was living in Thailand. As you know, I taught in Thailand for 30 years. And I always had this feeling that no feshrif was ever published in honor of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi. There are feshrifs in honor of Cantwell Smith, Bernard Lewis, Fazlur Rahman, name it. But nobody has, among his students, ever thought of publishing a feshrift in his honor. So this was going on in my heart. So in 2010, I was invited to be the visiting professor of the Malaysia Chair of Islam in Southeast Asia at Georgetown University. And I talked with John Esposito that we need to do a feshrif on Faruqi. John Esposito is the first graduate student of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi. So he said, yeah, that's a good idea. So we talked to IIIT, and Dr. Jamal Barzanji was the president at that time. And he also liked the idea, but both of them told me, we don't have time. I said, I have the time. Yeah, so they said, go ahead. And alhamdulillah, it was published from London by I.B. Torres. And it's a memorial piece, articles it has two parts. First part is by his friends who wrote memorial pieces by him, on him. And the second part are articles by his students who wrote articles in his honor. So this is available in PDF and in many versions. So alhamdulillah, when I was doing this work, I gave a whole 1 year in publishing this book, Islam and Knowledge. And at the same time, in 2011, I and Professor John Esposito did this special volume of the American Journal of Islamic Social Sciences in honor of Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi. Yeah, this is volume number 3 of 211. Now, when I was doing research for the feshrif, I had access to the Faruqi library collection, which is housed in IIIT in Washington, D.C. So every Friday I would go there and stay the whole day. So I looked at all the documents from 1963 to 1986, 85. And there's so much material. It's a mine. And when I look through this material, for me, Faruqi is like a mine. You cannot just put him down into one place. And so much research can be done on his thought, his production, and his ideas. And while going through that, I found one manuscript which was not published. And when I went through that manuscript, I said, I have not seen this published. So I talked to one professor who did a book with Faruqi on Islam, and Professor Frederick Denny at the University of Colorado in Boulder. And he said, no, that the book which he did for Professor Denny was not the same as what I found. So alhamdulillah, this book was published posthumously after his death, and I found it lying in the manuscript, in the whole Faruqi collection. In that collection, there are about 500 unpublished papers of Ismail Al-Faruqi. They are with me, thanks to my wife. She has typed all of them We have it, but we are unable to publish it because there are some issues involved. I can answer that question later on if somebody is interested. He wrote by hand, and some are typed articles which are not published. Some are typed articles. There are letters between Fazlur Rahman and him. There are letters with Wilfred Cantwell Smith. There are letters with so many people. And there are also letters of threats to him from Zionists and Jews who hate him. And there's a lot of material in there. But unfortunately, it cannot be published, but it's lying, so it will die its own death. And we can talk about that later. Then in 2000, I'm not getting the years here. Then very recently, I need to move this. Okay, I'll look over there. In 2000 and what year is that? 21. Dr. Yaqub Mirza, who is the president of Shenandoah University Center for Contemporary Islam and Center for Contemporary Islamic World, asked me to prepare a textbook-like book, which would be selected writings or essential writings of Ismail Al-Faruqi. So I worked on that project, and we published this book, Essential Writings of Ismail Al-Faruqi. It is available for free download if you go to the website of CICW. And this was published here in Malaysia from Islamic Book Trust in 2021. It has the foreword by the Prime Minister, Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who was very close with Faruqi at the same time. And there are stories with Anwar Ibrahim can tell you about. Like one story is that Faruqi one day told him, Professor Faruqi gave him the book Nationalism by Ernest Gellner, and tell him, read it overnight. And next morning, he asked him the question, what did you gather out of it? And he said, oh, I don't know. I'm still reading it. And another book which he recommended, and I shared this with you, is the book he admired was Knowledge Triumphant by Franz Rosenthal as a masterpiece. Really, it is a masterpiece, which says that Islam is the religion which triumphs reason. Triumphs reason. So that is another very important. He also gave that book to all of us and asked us to read. And that is also a very tough text to read. But these are important texts in Islamic studies and study of Islamic. Okay. So my presentation, I'm going to go through a little bit through biography and then look at him as an intellectual mujahid. Now, this word mujahid is very interesting. It has an interesting background there. When I completed the manuscript for Islam and Knowledge, I had titled him as intellectual mujtahid. So Esposito opposed me, and he said, no, you don't say mujtahid, you should say mujahid, because he was a scholar activist, and he was a mujahid. While his critiques, there are letters who call him as a guerrilla scholar. Fazlur Rahman called him a guerrilla scholar because of his Palestinian background. And his views on pre-Hijra Islam and Islamic worldview, he used the term ummatic methodology for the first time. The word ummatic, which is common these days, he coined it and used it many times. And Islamization of knowledge and interreligious dialogue. These are the topics I will cover. So, as everybody knows, he was a Palestinian by birth, and he was an activist. He was a governor of Jalili and from 1945 to 48, and then professor of Islamic studies at Temple University in the United States. But before that, he was at Syracuse University. He was like a walking encyclopedia. He's like, as I said, he's like a mind to be researched, learned, and to be applied. He was not an ordinary scholar. You could ask him any question and he would answer. I did not know him personally. When I finished my studies at Aligarh Muslim University, my master's, I had first class, I had university medal, but I had no money and to go to study anywhere. So I wrote a letter to him by hand saying that I want to study, I have good grades, but I have no money. he replied my letter, saying that to me, that I will try to do something for you. We never met in person before, like, Abim people met him and Wami people knew him and all this, but I had no connection with him. So, and at that time I left to Thailand and I gave him my telephone number. And when I went to Thailand, I went to the market, and when I came back, my wife said to me that there was a call from United States. A lady wanting to talk to you. I said, lady from United States? I said, I don't know any lady in the United States. When wife asks that question, it's dangerous. And she will call you back. Now, that person called back, and that person was Dr. Said, Ghulam Nabi Fai, who has taken the photo I've shown to you. His voice is feminine. But the question he asked me is that Professor Faruqi is giving you scholarship. Do you accept or not? I said, yes. I did not say I will think and, give me time and this and that. I said, yes. And I had no money to buy my plane ticket. I had nothing with me. I said, okay, I accept it. So somehow I managed to borrow some money. I got a plane ticket, and then I had only $100 at that time. $100 a lot in my pocket. I landed at New York airport, and I had to take a flight to Philadelphia, and I had to change from JFK Terminal Number 1, International Terminal, to Terminal Number 5. So I took a taxi, and the taxi when I reached Terminal Number 5, the taxi man said $2.50. And I said, I don't have a change. I have only $20, 25 20s. So I gave him 20. He said, I don't have a change. So I said, keep the change. Next day, when I reached Philadelphia, I knew what is the value of $20. I said, wow, $20 is a lot of money. So that was the story I landed. And then when I met him there the first time, he said to me, go and buy snowshoes first before you fall down somewhere and I have to take you to hospital. Anyway, he paid my ticket back and he reimbursed me. And he was like a father. And we used to fight, not me only, but his students. He used to fight and get angry with us. But then in the end, he was like a father. He was saying, let's go for dinner, let's go for lunch. And really, he groomed us. And I think that is what we learned. These students, we learned that how to be a teacher who forms the students, who does not terrorize the student, who does not get angry with the student, but helps them along the way. And I think that I've imbibed that quality from him. Okay, so he focuses on Islam and relationship as a living culture, and he presents Islam as a religion of reason, science and progress, action and work ethic. He was a man of work ethic himself, worked very hard, and on emphasis on Tawheed with a modernist interpretation through intellectual jihad. And he, as you know very well, he established Islamic studies program at several places, and he was advisors to many of the governments in the Muslim countries. Okay, again, repeating here, he obtained his bachelor's degrees in humanities from ABU, American University of Beirut, in 1942. Then he went to Jerusalem, and then in 1945 he was the governor of Jalili. With the creation of Israel, he left and migrated to Beirut in 1948 and joined the American University of Beirut again. In 1949, he entered Indiana University and got his master's degree from there. The title is Ethics of Reason and Ethics of Life, Kantian and Nietzschean Ethics. Brother Effie, right? Yeah. He has found a copy of that master's thesis. He is one of the fans of Faruqi, though he was born after Faruqi. And in 1952, he was awarded his PhD in philosophy, justifying the good. Now, after finishing his PhD, Faruqi was unemployed. He had no job. He told us, I had no job. So what was he doing? He was unemployed and he worked as a renovator of old houses. So he was reselling the old houses, repainting them, refurbishing them, and selling them. For a long time, he was unemployed. So it's normal. Then he coined the word, he does not call Islamic studies. It is an Orientalist term. He calls it Islamics. And from 1970 onwards, he and Professor Fazlur Rahman were of the University of Chicago, and Professor Syed Hussain Nasser are the first pioneers of Islamic studies in the United States. Three of them represent three different trends. Fazlur Rahman in Islamic thought and philosophy, Nasser in Islamic mysticism, basically Persian mysticism. My criticism here a little bit, emphasis only on Safavid, Ishraqi mysticism, Mullah Sadra, and not before or after that. And I have critiqued him. He knows that I have critiqued him. And perennialism. So many people ask me, you do comparative religion, are you a perennialist? I say, no, I'm not a perennialist. I'm a parallelist. So yeah. So, and for Ismail Al-Faruqi in the study of phenomenology and history of religion. Many people don't recognize. Many people only think that of Islamization of knowledge, but actually, as a philosopher, he was very much influenced by Max Scheler. And he is a phenomenologist and historian of religion, interreligious dialogue, and Islamization of knowledge. He used to tell us that Islamization of knowledge is not his main work. He said, my main book, my magnum opus, is not Islamization of knowledge. It is his book, Christian Ethics. And that is very important work of his, which many people don't know, but is available. I would tell students to read it, is how he studied Christianity from within, how Christians understand it. And when he used to lecture on interreligious dialogue or make comments on Christianity, some of our professors, Christian professors, at Temple University, it was like this, that Christian professors would teach Christianity, Jewish professors would teach Judaism, Buddhism, and Islam by Muslims, Nasser and Faruqi. So Christian professors would tell us sometimes, and someone told me, he is teaching our religion to us. Now, that is a comment, worthy of, because if Wilfred Cantwell Smith, he was a very close friend with him, says, if you present religion as the followers of that religion understand, then your understanding of that religion is correct. That was his approach. So Christians would say, oh, he's teaching our religion to us. So but after finishing his PhD from 54 to 58, he went to Al-Azhar University to study the traditional knowledge, understanding of Islam, which normally most of the Western scholars do. From 59 to 61, he was at the Institute of Islamic Studies at McGill University, where he studied again Christianity and Judaism. It is there he met Fazlur Rahman. Fazlur Rahman was already there. And Fazlur Rahman, as you know, was an Islamic modernist. And they became friends because they shared the concern about the condition of Muslim world, and education in the Muslim world was very, very low. And they had a similar concern. And Fazlur Rahman convinced Faruqi to go with him to Karachi, to work at the Institute of Islamic Research set up by General Ayub Khan, because he wanted to revive Islamic studies in Pakistan in a modern way. So raising the level of Islamic studies. So both Fazlur Rahman and Faruqi were invited by Professor Ishtiaq Hussain Qureshi, who was the Vice Chancellor of University of Karachi, to come to Pakistan. So they went to Pakistan. As I say here, and from 1961 to 1963, he taught at the Institute in Karachi, Institute of Islamic Research in Karachi, and researching on Islam and modern age. But when he went to Pakistan, he found that Pakistan the people of Pakistan are very lazy, lethargic. They have no interest in upliftment of the ummah, and they don't even understand the purpose of the creation of Pakistan. And he said, all these people, and he writes about it. He said, all these people are talking about drinking chai all the time. That's all. No, he was so upset, and he wrote a letter of resignation saying, I'm going back, though I have no job in the United States. Because he felt, and he wrote, I have with me the curriculums, the syllabuses of how to teach Islamic studies. And he went back to United States. And same thing happened with Fazlur Rahman. Fazlur Rahman also went back to United States because the mullahs could not tolerate Fazlur Rahman, as you know very well. So when he went back, he became an associate professor at Syracuse University. But in 1968, Temple University changed its program. Temple University is basically started as a Baptist college, but they set up a department of religion for the first time in the United States. In the United States, there are 3 departments of religion which are very important: Chicago, Temple, and Harvard. Competitors, 3 competitors, 3 schools of study of religion, religious studies or comparative religion, whatever you call. And Temple program was that a Muslim would teach Islam, a Buddhist would teach Buddhism, Christian would teach Christianity, and we benefited a lot. I remember my first class on Christianity, we had a professor, Gerhard Spiegler, he was from Lithuania, German, and he taught us Christianity. In the first class, first session, he asked us, what is Christianity? A classroom of, say, 30, 40 students, Muslims, Hindus, Christians, not Christians, Muslim, Hindus, Buddhists, whatever. And we Muslims, oh, Christianity is a false religion. Jesus is a Muslim, and he was not crucified and all that. And the Hindus had their views, and the Buddhists had their views. And then the professor said, okay, enough. I have heard all of you. After today, no more comments from your side. From tomorrow, we start studying Christianity. How do we study Christianity? We study the text. We study the Hebrew Bible. We study the Gospel, and we study the whole church history. Karl Rahner, and all this, Paul Tillich, and all the Vatican documents, and this and that. And at the end of the session, of the semester, I remember a professor asking us, so what do you think of Christianity after studying with me? And I remember my response to him. I said, sir, I respect your tradition because I learned it from inside out. And I think that was an accomplishment. That is how we should study interreligious comparative religion or study of religion, that we understand them as they understand themselves. And that is very important. So that is what unique about Temple University. So Faruqi's contribution, again, are in the academic study of Islam and Christianity, phenomenology of religion, I'm repeating here, and Islamization of knowledge. Now, this ayat basically encapsulates what he was all about. Inna fi zalika li ayati liqawmi yatafakkarun. Quran is a book for the fikr, for the thought, for thinkers. And he was like that kind of a person, as I said, like similar to Fazlur Rahman. And because of this emphasis on fiqh, he was even accused of being a Mu'tazili. After he passed away, the Sufis wrote an obituary saying he was a Mu'tazilite. But at the same time, very interesting, while those who said that he was a Mu'tazili, at the same time, he was impressed by Kitab al-Tawheed of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, which he translated into English. And also other books of Tawheed. I can't really still grasp how this person, on the one side, he is a rationalist, on the other side, he is a very Salafi. Not a Wahhabi, but a Salafi. So this kind of mixture is very unique to find in many of the scholars of Islamic studies, who mostly are, repeating the same thing. Now, so for what is Islam for him? Very simple. 4, it is ideational. Tawheed, monotheism, is the most important core idea of Islamic consciousness, Arab consciousness, Arabian consciousness. I'll come to that Arabian thing in a minute. Axiological. It is based on on ethics, piety, and world affirmation, and it is aesthetical. So three. So Islam has its own aesthetics. He wrote a lot on Islam and art. For Faruqi, the theological, moral, and the aesthetical dimensions of Islamic life, or Muslim life and thought, are infused with monotheistic consciousness based on the duality of creation and the creator. Creation and the creator, God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the creation. Now, if I have listed these 14 topics, research topics on which he worked. First is Uruba. Now, Uruba is not Arabism of Boumediene or of Gaddafi or Gamal Abdel Nasser. It is monotheistic Arabism. His understanding monotheism as an Arab, not an Arab nationalist. Many people get upset with him. Fazlur Rahman got upset with him that, oh, he's an Arabist. But he was not an Arabist in the sense of Arab nationalism. Al-Din is here. He can understand. When he says Uruba and monotheism as Arabism or as a religious consciousness which happens only in the Arabian theater. Monotheism cannot emerge in Nusantara, was a Darkan. It cannot emerge here because each religion has its geography. And here, different religions emerge in different geographical spaces. So you have to understand Uruba or monotheism, Tawheed and Shirk are two religious concepts which are in direct contrast, which happen only in the Arabian mind. It does not happen elsewhere. So what we make a mistake when we say, Hindus are doing shirk or they are doing shirk, because it doesn't fit to their religious typology. The other topic which is very important, which is neglected, and he has written on it, is pre-Hijrah Islam. He said we have to study pre-Hijrah Islam to understand Islam. Otherwise, everything begins with Nabi Muhammad and the Quran, and then fast forward. So we have to go back to understand pre-Hijrah Islam, religion and geography, tafsir, Mu'tazili thought, science and traditional values. I'm going to talk about a little bit about that, Islamization of knowledge, Islam and art, religious experience, Islam and culture, Islam and human rights, Christian ethics, and Islam and problem of Israel, and meta-religion. Okay, so Ummatic orientation in development of knowledge. What is Ummatic methodology? It is a collective undertaking that included the religious ulama, the academic scholars, students, and professionals together. Everyone is an alim in Faruqi's understanding. A scientist is an alim. Alim is not only one who is garbed as an alim. A physicist is an alim. An artist is an alim. Not only the religious scholar. A banker is an alim. A lawyer is an alim. So the word alim and ilm, because these are the fundamentals of Islam. So understanding of this is Ummatic methodology. And it is not a one-man show. Study of Islam and Islamic knowledge is not one person project. It is a multi-faceted and people in which many people join together to work together. And then he treated his students, both Muslims and non-Muslims, like John Esposito is a Christian, until now, Sikh and others, without discrimination, making them realize what are the pedagogical and intellectual problems facing the Muslim Ummah. Now, first, John Esposito did not want to study Islam, but the director of graduate studies told him, Esposito wanted to study Hinduism. So, but the director of graduate studies at Temple University said, no, you go and study Islam. He said, no, I don't want to study Islam. He said, no, you go and talk to Faruqi. So he went to Faruqi. He said, the graduate director is telling me to study Islam, but I don't want to study it. Faruqi said, from tomorrow you start learning Arabic language here. Go to University of Pennsylvania and start studying Arabic language. And today, Esposito is a global scholar of Islam. He has made millions of dollars out of teaching Islam. This is public and private. He charges $5,000 just to give one lecture. Yeah. So, and he says, he has said this, that he bought his first Lexus because of Ayatollah Khomeini. Because at that time nobody knew, and he was the most sought out of scholar to understand what is going on in Iran. So he says, I bought my first Lexus because of Ayatollah Khomeini. So coming back to Faruqi, when Esposito, I'm going too much. Okay, how much time I have?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Excuse me. So when Esposito finished his PhD defense on that day, Faruqi took him for dinner. And Esposito writes about it and he said, that night I asked Faruqi the most important question. Sir, I studied with you for 5 years, but you never asked me to become a Muslim. You never asked me to become a Muslim. Faruqi said, if you become Muslim, Alhamdulillah and good. But as your teacher, it is not my job to ask you to become a Muslim. So you see, Faruqi was able to distinguish what was his role as a teacher and what was his role as dawah, as a da'i. So this is very important for us who are engaging in studies and of Islamic studies. Now I'm going to go very quickly. I'm going to skip over a lot of material here. So I already talked about Uruba as monotheism, Arabic monotheism. Okay. Now, he was impressed very much with Al-Biruni, Ibn Hazm, Ash-Shahrastani, and Ibn Taymiyyah. So these are thinkers, Al-Biruni because of comparative religion, Ibn Hazm also because of comparative religion, Ash-Shahrastani, and Ibn Taymiyyah for Islamic revivalism. Faruqi was a modern Muslim phenomenologist. And as I have talked about this already, so let me go forward. Now, pre-Hijra Islam is very important. Our senior professor, Osman Bakar, also studied with Faruqi. We had to take compulsory courses, and we had to study ancient Near East, from Gilgamesh and Enuma Elish. So we used to joke after the class that we came to study, we are all inspired by Islamic revivalism. We used to say, we wanted to study about Islamic revivalism. What is he talking about? Enuma Elish and Gilgamesh and Marduk and this and that. So, but that was the grounding into pre-Hijra Islam. So if you know that background of Mesopotamia, and the Arab world, and Arabs as Semites, not only the Jews, then you will understand what Islam is all about. Then you'll get the whole comprehensive understanding of Islam from pre-Hijrah till today, 1400 years of Hijrah, post-Hijrah. So we studied all these texts of ancient Near East. So that is another important. So Islam is a Deen al-Fitra, and it is a meta religion. I'll go forward and talk about science and values in Islam. Islam holds Tawheed as inseparable from unity of truth, and it recognizes two open ways in the way of revelation and natural science. Revelation informs us about reality in direct and intuitive way, while science, or the scientific theory, holds that revelation in Islam, revelation has never alienated itself from reason and has never lost touch with critical standing. So we may say that if Faruqi, I'm quoting him directly, he says there are two Islams. First is the Islam of the Quran and the Sunnah, and the second is Islam of the Muslims, their common popular beliefs and customs. So the first Islam is scriptural, and the second is descriptive and empirical sociological. Uh, the other important, so then he came up with the Islamization of knowledge movement. Is very well known for that, and that was because of the crisis of Muslim education. In 1970s, 1960s, we were studying Marx and Kafka and existentialism and hippism and all that. So that time, the Muslim world really had a problem of education. We were studying everything. I was studying everything. You were studying everything, reading everything. But Islam was not there in the field of academia, on the academic scene. I remember myself as a student, I would go to a bookstore in Pune and I would pick up books and open the index to look for the word Islam. None of these books on philosophy or on theory, on history or anything had even a mention of Islam in the index. Islamization of knowledge is that which propelled this project of bringing Islam in the field of knowledge and making it an intellectual and a practical engagement with the West. So today, the students of this generation, you are lucky, the Islamization of knowledge project and this university, you are very lucky that you did not go through the trouble which our generation went in the crisis of education. You are getting it already ready-made, and you have to continue from where it is. Where it has been as it has been presented. So Islamization of knowledge, the purpose is to alleviate the Muslim educational problems. And
gradually or
we'll come to that. All right. So Islamization of knowledge, I go to this 1982 edition of Islamization of knowledge, which he wrote himself. But the later editions are revised editions, which are published by Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, edited and all. And they took a lot of things from the original edition because they said it is too hard curriculum to be implemented in IIUM and other universities. So I go to the 82 version. Okay, construction of theories and methods. Now, Islamization of knowledge. What is, if I say in one word, what is Islamization of knowledge? It is mastering the disciplines. Without mastering the disciplines, you cannot do Islamization of knowledge. You have to know all the disciplines from in and out, whether it is nursing or it is sociology or it is psychology or whatever it is. And he critiqued Ziauddin Sardar, integration of knowledge, and he critiqued, they had a very big debate, and he told Ziauddin Sardar, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. The wheel has been already invented. Now our job is to make it so good as that it functions to help enable the life of being Khalifa fil ard. That is the purpose of Islamization of knowledge, and that can happen if you master the disciplines. Okay, so it is easy to borrow and criticize and talk about conspiracy theories, but you need hard work. And the job of Islamization of knowledge is to make us into good scholars, into hard scholars. I remember I wrote my first paper for him, and he says, this goes out of my window. I said, what? And that time we didn't have this all laptops. If you type one mistake, for the American, you have to retype the whole paper again, the whole page again. So he says it goes out of the window. You write me again, and you have to rewrite several papers again for him, because it is not easy. Today's students are very, you pass with condition. We never heard of a passing with condition or passing with minor revision, but rather it was major revisions. Okay, going forward. So what are the contemporary challenges? Times and ideas are changed, but today, why is Islamization of knowledge important today? Because we are having more challenges today. Challenge of postmodernism, artificial intelligence, pandemic, climate change. You know what happened in Mina? How many 1,100 people died? because of ecological destruction. So Islamization of knowledge has to progress with facing the new challenges which are facing humanity. Only then we can say we are helping humanity. And there is a need to engage in developing new intellectual and methodological approaches to the challenges brought by these new challenges. Now, Christian Ethics is a very important book. He regards this book as his masterpiece, as his magnum opus. It's a good scholar. He studied Christianity very well from inside out, and he was very close with Wilfred Cantwell Smith, and he called Wilfred Cantwell Smith the Christian Al-Biruni of Islam. And he himself was like Al-Biruni of Christianity, if I put it in a simple way. So Christian Ethics is a passionate critique of the Christian doctrine of man, while accepting the religion of Jesus Christ as a revelation of the same one living God who sent Muhammad. It is Arabian Christianity. It is not the Western Christianity. It's distinguished between the Roman Christianity and the Arabian Christianity. Aladdin can understand me very well on that one. So the Western Christianity is like Karl Barth and, 30 volumes. You read, when in our class in Christianity, we had to read 500 pages of a text by Karl Barth. I read 500 pages, 50 pages, 60 pages, 100 pages, and in the end, what is the conclusion? You are saved by the grace of Jesus. I said, so why the hell did I read 500 pages to read this? And then I'm going to say by the saving grace of Jesus. And Faruqi was first Muslim scholar to examine Christian dogma and ethics very, very deeply. He laid the groundwork for establishing dialogue between Islam and Christianity. At that time, there was not interreligious dialogue was something very, very new. Today is a fashion, Everyone, Tom, Dick, Harry talks about interreligious dialogue without understanding. So it involves research and criticism. And then I'm coming to the end now, very soon. Islam and the Problem of Israel. He was very much criticized for this book by the Zionists for this book. So the problem of Israel confronting the Muslim world has no precedent or parallel in Islamic history. He says that Muslim world has tended to regard it as another instance of modern colonialism or repetition of crusades. Faruqi, as the author, says how Israel is neither one of these, but that it is both. The book goes into the nature of Zionism, its history, what has kept it alive, and Islam's verdict concerning Israel today. The question of whether secular Palestinian state is an answer to the problem of Israel or not. So let me conclude. Today, 38 years after his death, Faruqi has left a lasting influence on Muslim minds, educational institutions. Many people are interested in learning about him. As you very well know, he and his wife were murdered by an African-American convert who had psychological problems. And we knew him. He used to be among us. We knew him personally. Even after murdering Faruqi, he was among us. And he even attended the janazah, the funeral. And nobody knew that he was the person until a reward was posted, $50,000, and the clue came that this was the person. His name is Yusuf Ali. I attended the trials in Philadelphia at that time. Okay, so for Faruqi presented Islam as a religion and as a worldview, as an integral part of knowledge process without engaging in apologetics. And by developing new theories about the role of Arabs and Islam in religious stream. His book, Christian Ethics, as I said, is most important. He was more concerned about the question facing humanity as Khalifa fil Ard. And today, the relevance of Islamization of knowledge is because of the new challenges we have of post-secular age, artificial intelligence, ecological destruction, biotechnology, and post-human future. The spirit of Islamization of knowledge is alive, and we have to keep it alive. We can conclude that it is an ongoing venture. It cannot be, we cannot be unmindful of the new and future challenges facing the epistemological, ontological understanding of Islamic worldview for pedagogy and educational project. I think I'm done. Thank you very much.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you, Professor Imtiyaz, for your deep thoughts and then ideas. I feel like let us at least we sadaqah one Fatiha to Arwah ISMAIL Al-Faruqi.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you. I think some of your things I directly heard even our present Prime Minister PMX mentioning that statement you just made it, that he gave the book and he said, I want tomorrow to listen what is there in the book. And he says, can you imagine that I read the whole book whole night and tomorrow I'm going to brief to him what is there in the book.
Yeah.
So that statement I heard few times, Dr. Siano Ibrahim mentioning about it. So yes, he was really an intellectual asset for the Ummah. And IIUM basically, yes, we did have our mission, Islamization of knowledge and human knowledge. And then it has gone to all around. The law people say the what you call harmonization of the law, and then they will some of say the relevantization of this, and some of them say Islamization of knowledge. So all these terminologies are actually sometimes, but to me is simple. If you got the coins, you see one side of the coins means there is also reality on the other side of the coins. So better to see all the side, then you will be able to, with the presence of these great intellectuals around here, Imar Bagia, Dato Osman Bakar, Dato Murad, Dato Dean himself, and our many brothers here. And I think double the number is on Zoom. And I also saw notes coming already on the chat, question directly to the speaker. So maybe that one I can take up later. First, I will open to the present, but just one request. I want to finish it by 4:30. Otherwise, you all be caught in the traffic jam. So faster, better. Go straight to the points and just put your question direct to Professor Imtiyaz and let him respond directly as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Not a second lecture, please.
Thank you. It was a wonderful speech. Fantastic. I learned a lot, especially on the personal thing. The relationship is amazing. I have met Faruqi when he wasn't so famous. So and he wasn't so busy. Later he became when I did my undergraduate. Now, the question again becomes on the Islamization of knowledge. As you said, it was not his first idea. It was an idea that came quite late, somewhat. So what brought it about? And how was the initial reception?
Okay. He was interested in Islam before Islamization of Knowledge project started. He, as a philosopher, was his early works, Uruba and all other Christian ethics, you see the tinge of Islam there. But this project of Islamization of knowledge started as a project by Muslim, I'm echoing someone. Yeah. Can you put on? Yeah. It started off by some intellectuals gathering together, like the Qibalatas, like Sayyid Hussain Nasr, Fazlur Rahman, and Ismail Al-Faruqi, and the Makkah conference. But that propelled the rise of Islamization of knowledge as a project. But he took it very more seriously because I think he was of interest, of a more philosophical interest in Islamization of knowledge project and as a pedagogical project, while others were also there in that whole team. So it came up gradually. And then it took off when the universities were set up, when OIC took up the project. And then Malaysian government took up it as its own project, while Pakistan government could not fund it very well. And Nigeria could not, neither Uganda. They are still dependent on OIC. I remember him coming back from Pakistan, and he said the project of International Islamic University in Pakistan, Islamization of knowledge, is doomed. He said, because they don't have money. But in Malaysia, it is flourished. That's why you have students from everywhere coming here to work on this. Yeah. So it happened because of the crisis in Islamic education, in Muslim education, in Muslim countries, when we were colonized and neo-colonized.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think there is a, okay.
I
Yeah, that's
exactly understand the question that you're asking. No, regarding Faruqi, what's the question that you wanted to know?
You use microphone because not.
I would like to know the impetus. The reason I give it like this. When Muslim reaction was always the idea, we have everything. Why learn anyone else?
Yeah.
So it's become again this idea of this, and we have all the answers. So we don't need to learn. So this integration of trying to integrate Western knowledge with Islamic knowledge, is a unique. And Faruqi comes from a Christian ethics background. I mean, the study of Christian ethics into Islam in a way. And so he sees the value of other things. Like most other Muslim scholars would come from this and don't go up. So that's what I'm trying to say. Why did he go up?
I think, can I just, there is also a similar question on the chat group here. Prof, it is said that Faruqi's masterpiece is Christian ethics. Does this indicate that he was influenced by the Kant, who emphasized the study of ethics and not metaphysics?
Yeah. He was influenced. He was Kantian, no doubt about that. Yeah. So answer is yes.
So yes, Nuruddin, your answer is yes.
Yes.
And now he has put second question. Can you explain?
He hasn't answered the first question.
But
Answer, he said yes.
yeah. But coming back to your question, because during the 1960s and 70s, the two main paradigms of knowledge in the Muslim world were Marxism or modernization, Western capitalism models. And there was no place for Islam, as I said, within the academia. And everyone was aping the West. And the famous book, if you remember, The Passing of Traditional Society, that was an American project. This is the Washington project. And then you have the Marxist project. So all the universities had these two types of people. In social sciences and social, positivism and Marxism, and this is what it was. So that's led to young Muslims, scientists who are studying science and social science, that what about our heritage? And that led to Islamization of knowledge.
Study the West, brought it back.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Next question. Who is there? Saima. Then Subhan, and later on maybe Datto can conclude later on. Saima first. You also got it. Okay, Saima, can you open this?
I want to comment related to the question.
Okay, I think that Datto, I just want to give more preference to his students. Let them learn.
Let him do it.
Huh? Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Khalik. Well, the thing is, we have different versions of our knowledge regarding the history of Al-Marhum, Professor Ismail Faruqi's thought. For example, with Prof, we share many things in common, because of our common experience with Professor Al-Faruqi, but also have other experiences that perhaps not experienced by Professor Imtiyaz, and also written something about him. So as I see it, when he was in Pakistan with Fazlur Rahman, I think the focus at that time, that was in the 60s. In the 60s, before they had to leave Pakistan because their program was not accepted, basically it's modernization. Basically, it is modernization of Islam. modernization of Islam. That was that. And then, of course, they went to Canada, to McGill. But regarding the Islamization, there's a story to it. Because I was quite close to Professor Naqib Al-Attas. And Professor Naqib Al-Attas told me what happened between the two. In other words, I think the Professor Faruqi invited Professor Al-Attas to Temple University. This was just one semester before the World Muslim Conference in Mecca. So that was in 1977. So a semester before that, he spent one semester at Temple University to pay back the visit of Faruqi to Al-Attas Institute of Malay, in UKM at the time. Yes, at the time. So it was during that time when they were together in Temple that they had discussion about this. And according to Professor Naqib, of course, I based myself on Professor Naqib. Professor Naqib said, we discussed about this Islamization of knowledge, because Naqib only claimed that, of course, he told Professor Faruqi about this idea, and later, because Professor Faruqi saw this is a very good idea, but Professor Al-Attas was not interested in putting that into a kind of to institutionalize that idea. Professor Al-Attas was interested in the idea. Yeah. So I think that that's what according to this. Yeah. So I think it's quite true. It's quite true that when I was in Temple much earlier than Imtiyaz, Imtiyaz. Actually, the book that you mentioned, that he on Islamization of knowledge, the work plan. Actually, I was the first Malaysian student to be shown that draft. That draft. Because I said, Brother Osman, this is a very important plan that we have. Please give my comments. Please comments. Yeah. That was in 1981.
Published in 82. Published in
82. Give me the draft.
Yeah.
Give me the draft. Yeah. So that I can see the difference between Al-Attas and Faruqi, because I knew both. I knew both of them. So Professor Al-Attas more interested in the scholarly and the arguments against Muslim, but Professor Faruqi, he wants to implement it for the Ummah. This is very important. We cannot waste time. As you know, to do this. You cannot waste 1 minute at a time. Mama must do it now. That's basically, I think, the story.
So here's our eyewitness to that.
Dato, can you use the microphone?
Professor Naqib included the story in the second edition of the book Islam and Secularism in the preface. Yeah, that's a Faruqi story with him, with Said Naqib. Yeah, it's in the preface of the book.
So Dato, there is a little deviation or whatever. There's one question from Nur Muhammad. He says, why was Fazlur Rahman ostracized? He was a great fan of the Shah Waliullah. Where did he err? Where did he make a mistake?
This question is not relevant here. Maybe Professor Hisham, as a student of Fazlur Rahman, can answer to that
That's the
one.
answer for Dr. Nur Muhammad for your question. Okay, so
Prof,
I think
there is another question from Nuruddin, I think very relevant.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. So
About social science, why Islamization of social sciences? What about Islamization of human science or natural sciences?
Yes.
This is very important.
Yeah, it started with social sciences because social sciences was more important for the impact for the everyday living life of the Muslim. Sociologically, psychologically, we were entering into industrial society. So the more questions were there. But later on, they also developed the Association of Muslim Engineers and Muslim Doctors, and those associations also came up later on. So yes, they also branched off into
Positivism was an issue.
positivism was an issue. Yes, it was it.
It's the major, what drives social scientists actually, positivism.
Yeah, it was an issue. Yeah, it was an issue. But besides that, also Marxism was an issue. All these ideological issues were there. So yes, positivism was an issue.
Maybe, Prof, maybe the practical was the reason was very practical.
Practical.
Because at that time, actually, the role played by MSA, the Muslim Students Association in America, was very important in also shaping Professor Al-Faruqi.
Prof. Faruqi.
Because the as far as intellectual thing was concerned, I think the MSA was more important than anything else in trying to influence Professor Faruqi. Why he concentrated on social science? Yeah.
Okay, Saima, quickly, your question, then followed by the Subhan, quickly.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Nice to see you
Not very
again.
long,
at the-
twisted
No,
question.
only question. Thank you, Prof. Thank you. Nice to see you again at the ISTAC platform. Everyone aware here the situation of Pakistan about its pathetic situation being Islamic State. But here we are the Muslim community, Muslim Pakistani students community. And I just want to know that please only 2 or 3 points for the execution or practically execution of the Islamization in Pakistan, because we are the huge community here. We went back, we will go back, and we want to do something. So I need just a way forward.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Saima. Subhan, your question?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Subhan Amradi.
Speak a little further from the mic.
Okay. My question is, I wonder if Prof. Ismail Faruqi read The International Jews by Henry Ford, in which The International Jews by Henry Ford. Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motors, he talks about how the Jewish Zionist movement is affecting America at that time, and in that book is also along with it is the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. I wonder if Ismail Faruqi read that and what is his response to that?
I don't have any personal information on that, but he may have read it, so I cannot.
Maria.
Yeah, but to answer to Saima, that what is the way forward? The way forward is, as I said in one sentence, master the disciplines. If you master the disciplines, you are on the path of Islamization of knowledge. And to address the challenges, once you master the disciplines, then you can address all the challenges which come. Ecology, whatever you have now, biotechnology and all these things, but master the discipline. Faruqi wanted us not to be half-baked scholars. And that is the job of the university. And to be fully well-versed in our studies, full-time. And to tell you frankly, I forgot I have a PhD. I forgot that I got a PhD and to be curious of what is happening around you and not to be limited. The problem with an Islamic university, Daniel is here? He left, okay. With the International Islamic University, not only in Malaysia, but in Pakistan, that we are enclosed societies. We talk among ourselves and we don't expose our students to interact with others. There was a student of political science who was a student of Daniel. He got admitted in Nanyang Technology University to study for his master's. And he came to me and said, "Sir, I'm going to study in Singapore. I've been admitted. I got scholarship. But how am I going to interact with the Hindus and Christians? Because I've never interacted with them." I said, "They are not a threat to you. You go and be yourself." So you see, because we live in enclosed society, that's why we are not able to promote this as a project for humanity, because humanity needs Islam as the savior. Yeah.
Okay, Maria, quickly.
Thank you, Professor. As a student of Professor Faruqi, and you see the new challenges in the postmodern world, what would Islamization of knowledge say about students using AI in their papers as a quick solution?
What-
Yeah, which destroys original thought, ijtihad.
This is not a new problem. AI is just the technology. Before, people used to plagiarize. Okay, so the AI is the same. Chat whatever. I don't know. It is just a database of language which is producing papers for you. But what now American professors are doing are telling students in classroom exams, going back to the traditional way, and no phones are banned and everything, and they give them the questions on the spot and you have to answer them. But our students here, we have the habit of plagiarizing. So, but now we are plagiarizing technologically more easily professors know easily. You know, when I can't write in a good English paper, my own English, with my English proficiency, and I make so many mistakes, how can you write such an excellent paper better in such a proficient English language that I'll surely doubt. And you don't have references because ChatGPT, whatever it is, it does not has the references. It only has the vocabulary and the language.
Okay, I would like to have, if there is
Just
any
one
question.
more thing.
Yeah, Zoom.
It's just like we use this Zotero program for referencing. You know, I taught my students in Thailand of how to use Zotero or EndNote, and then the student was there. Then the student said, "Oh, now I learned Zotero, but where are the references?" I said, "You have to read the books to build the references. You cannot, Zotero is not going to make the references for you."
Okay, I think
Professor
Dato'
Barkan had something.
Dato' Ahmad Murad, I think perhaps it will be last question if there is none from the Zoom, because I want to give that time for closing remarks by the Dean. So Dato', yes.
Yeah, no question. Just I want to resonate briefly on the phrase mastering of the disciplines.
Yeah.
Could it be that Faruqi meant not mastering the disciplines literally, but mastering the sociology, origins, and history of disciplines?
Sure. Yeah.
Because disciplines are not static.
Yeah.
They evolve, they're dynamic,
Yeah.
and they do not descend from heaven.
Right.
So as when we want to approach on the Islamization of knowledge or de-Westernization of knowledge, one of the approaches is to develop a disciplinary critique.
Yes.
You know, and also to deconstruct it and look at it as a form of alternative knowledge. Then only we can go
Right.
back to what we want to do.
Yeah.
Because disciplines are not fixed.
Yes.
The boundaries are
Evolving.
of recent origins, actually. The modern disciplines, say social sciences,
Yeah.
they are last 300 years.
Yeah.
They have not been there forever.
Yeah.
So this is could be what Faruqi could have
Yeah,
meant.
you're right. We need to know the history of sociology. We need to know why did they emerge. For example, why did anthropology emerge? Because they wanted to ask the question, what is the origin of man and what is the origin of religion? And they went to so we are all primitives. So, and we are doing anthropology without understanding that we are doing the master's job.
This is the same.
For example, the genesis of economics.
Yeah.
As an academic discipline, as a field of study, beginning in the 1700s.
Yes.
So if you want to Islamize economics as such, then you need to know what Adam Smith read.
Right.
And we have to reread Adam Smith, for example.
Yes.
He was writing as a priest, not as an economist.
Right.
Actually, that's a similar question. I think Hamidullah Marazi is connected. He is asking same thing. How far is the Ismail Rajiv Faruqi relevant to modern times? After the many scholars have met. So I wanted, that's his similar question. Maybe this will be your last answer before
I already answered that question. I think Professor Marazi joined a little late.
Okay, so
wait, let me answer to him. That he's relevant if we keep Islamization of knowledge as an ongoing project.
Yes.
And not get stuck. He has started the ball, he has set the ball in motion, and we continue to answer the new challenges which we are facing in spite of we are facing with the progression of time and technology and all that. So after many criticisms have been made to his thought, I think Faruqi would not care for his criticism. He never cared, He said, this is my thought, this is me, take it or leave it and go on to the next, That would be his attitude.
Yeah, been brave enough. So I think, brothers and sisters here and Zoom, we have, alhamdulillah, few lecture series. We heard about Naqib Al-Attas, we heard about Ismail Al-Raza Faruqi, we heard about the Prof. Kamal Tansri, the alive scholars and encyclopedia of Islamization, epistemology, all this, that Osman Bakr is still here. And all of them are here basically, so better benefit it before it is too late, because the burden very fast going to be passed to your shoulder. You will be the future for continuing this journey of Islamization of knowledge. After being said so, now my plan is, inshallah, with the help of colleagues here, perhaps we could conduct some workshop, half day and whatever, that how do we Islamize our teaching? How do we Islamize our research and publication? How do we Islamize our other academic activities? So that will be a challenge, because we keep on talking. Talk breeds more talks, but action brings fruits and results. So most likely we will be thinking for future to conduct some workshop for curriculum, teaching and whatnot. So with that, inshallah, in mind, let us continue.
Can I say one word? Well, how we continue? Faruqi would say 3 R's: read, research, and write.
Not this 3R of Malaysia. So with that, finally pass the baton to our Dean yang berbahagia, Dato' Abdul Aziz Bargut, for concluding remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This clock is a faster 3 minutes, so don't be cheated by this. I will finish 4:30, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Khaliq, and also thank you, Prof. Imtiyaz, for the wonderful lecture and all the comments and the views of our scholars here. Maybe before I say something, I would like to forward to you the greetings and salam from Prof. Aslam Hanif. He is, I think, following from the Zoom in his office, and he said that he could not be here physical. He sends regards to you. Yeah, and I think, thank you, Prof. I think I think one time Prof. Osman mentioned that Islamization of Knowledge project ran its course. You remember that, Prof? So for us to move forward, we need to, I think, rationalize again and move forward, because the idea of Islamization of knowledge, to me, is all about how you translate and articulate the Islamic worldview to create new knowledge and to create new solutions. And that's why Al-Faruqi himself wrote the book. When you read his book on Tawheed and its implication for society, life and thought. So that's very crucial. That's why Al-Attas, for example, wrote his paper or article on worldview, because it's all there. How do you translate the Islamic worldview, the Islamic epistemology, the Islamic philosophy, the Islamic ontology into a process helping you to reprogram the Muslim mind and start producing knowledge based on, because Islamizing the Western knowledge, if we continue 1,000 years like this, we cannot Islamize the Western knowledge when it comes to quantity. Psychology itself has expanded, sociology has expanded, but I think there was, in our debates in the 90s, there was another term used for Islamization of knowledge, which is orientation of knowledge. Orientation of knowledge means how Islam look at that knowledge in its philosophies, objectives, approaches, theories, and so on and so on, and do the orientation. But Islamization means knowledge is being produced by another model, which is, as Prof. Hisham mentioned, definitely positivism is one of the big problems why Islamization comes. Because and one of the not sure whether you heard about this scholar from Sudan. Unfortunately, his writing is all in Arabic. His name is Abu Qasim Haj Hamad, which influenced actually the thoughts of Taha Jabir al-Alwani. And you know, Taha Jabir is one of the pillars of Islamization of knowledge. He speaks about al-jam'u bayn al-qira'atayn, reading the universe and reading the revelation and building an epistemology based on that one. So that scholar was saying that Islamization is all about how do we detach knowledge from positivism. And for that matter now, from postmodernism, from all this worldview which is creating knowledge and doing. That's why I think, to me, there should be another deep discussion, debate on this post-Islamization to create another approach to Islamization which suits what we are doing today. So maybe this is the next lecture that I'm going to give you.
If I could say one thing, when you said, I heard Faruqi telling me that what you said, he would say that we need to make our space in the world of knowledge.
Yes.
The stamp of Islam in the world of knowledge.
Yes. That's exactly. For example, we take Malik bin Nabi. Malik bin Nabi, he was not talking about, even though he discussed the problem of culture, the problem of ideas in the Muslim world and this and that. But when he comes to practice, he doesn't talk about Islamization of economics. He says the Muslim in the world of economics. How you give to the Muslim the mind, the competencies, the abilities, the theories, the methodology to contribute to the world of economy. So I think from here, there is really a need to have deep debates, and that's why we initiated this series. And this new generation, now we will go post Al-Faruqi, post Al-Attas, and we create the new great people who will take it further. So I think with this, it's really a wonderful discussion. Debates need to go deeper, and I think need to go universal. We should not continue only talking to ourselves. And inside here, and in Malaysia, in Algeria, in this, no. This Islamic worldview is universal. That's actually the challenge of Islamization. How to take our knowledge, our worldview, universal. What does mean? This means produce alternatives and produce knowledge and solutions that can solve the problems of the world, not our own things. That's why when Al-Faruqi says, and when you mentioned rightly, that the issue is about theories from an Islamic is correct. What are our models and theories? The West functions by paradigms, but we function by check-up. And we talk, and we do. And then we comment, paradigm.
If I can add further, a little bit, sorry, because the West considers us as the data on which they produce their theories. Abdulaziz saying, we produce the theories because we are the data.
So, brothers and sisters, I think once again, thank you, Prof, for your presence here. Thank you, Prof. Osman, Prof. Murad, all the professors, our people in the Zoom there, YouTube channel. Also, we have many there. May God bless you all. Let's end our lecture today by reading Surah Al-Asr and Kafarat al-Majlis.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa dasbil insan illa fi khusrin illa alladhina amanu. Okay, brothers, sisters, session is adjourned. The coffee is getting cold. Please grab it before it's too late.